It's Adare and St. Senans in the Irish Wire Products Limerick Senior Football Championship here at Newcastle West today. A fine fresh evening for the contest.
Just switch it off now and then.
This is sportinglimerick.com bringing you live streaming from Newcastle West in the heart of West Limerick. The action between Adare and St. Senans in the Irish Wire Products Limerick Senior Football Championship. It's the final round in the group stages before we advance to the knockout part of the 2018 Football Championship. Adare and St. Senans, the two teams involved. Adare are out on the field of play. Their manager Harry Gleeson has been forced to make a few changes in the absence of regular players. Captain Shane Doherty, James Hickey, Stephen Keeley and Davy Lyons. We have new players coming in, namely James Hickey, Charlie McCarthy and Darragh Lane, and the captain's armband will now be worn by fullback Adare O'Connor with that number 3 jersey. At the centre of the field, the referee, a very experienced official, be it in hurling or football, from Brewery, Mike Sexton. His brother in the past, John, has refereed an All-Ireland Senior Hurling Championship final. As we await the arrival of St. Senans onto the field of play, John, what's the story in terms of the permutations at this point?
Well, Matt, they're unbeaten, 100% record so far, with 4 wins from 4. They're already through to the semi-final. A win from St. Senans should see them through to a quarter-final, but they've had a huge season up to date anyway, coming up from intermediate last year. A win for them is a possibility, but they're, despite missing a few regular players, should be favourites going into the game.
So Adare, the defending champions, looking to win back-to-back titles for the first time in their history, having only succeeded in winning the championship itself 12 months ago, are very firmly on course to achieve that goal. The entire Adare team for you is Brendan Carmody in goal, a full back line of Jack Fitzgerald, Adare O'Connor and David Connolly. Half-backs James Hickey, Owen Ryan and Paul Maher. At midfield, Charlie McCarthy and Oran Collins. Half-forward line reads Darragh Lane, Hugh Burke and Jack English. And the inside forward line is that of Mark Connolly, Shane O'Connor and Mikey Lyons. Well, you've seen Adare involved in a few games in this Senior Football Championship. Their form from last year has been continuing over to this season as well.
Yeah, Mal, 4 wins from 4. They've just kept on going from where they were last season. Likes of Hugh Burke and Mikey Lyons in fine form as usual. And Jack English has also been a driving force from the half forward line. You know, they're a seriously impressive outfit and look good at the moment for maybe holding on to their title.
The management team, headed up by Harry Gleeson, also including as selectors Pat O'Connor, Dave Lavin, Joe Reddington, Maurice Horn deeply involved, and so too is Niall Crowley. Adare being forced to wait those extra few minutes for the arrival of St. Senans onto the field of play. And we'll confirm the St. Senans team in just a moment, but it's likely that Sean McSweeney will come into the starting selection in place of his brother Seamus McSweeney. Darren Kavanagh is in for Conor Milan, the injured former intercounty performer, and Darren Lawler will replace the unavailable Dale Fitzgerald in defence. Team captain Aidan O'Connor is at the centre of the field for Adare, so too the referee and the team of officials. All we need now are St. Senans to arrive on. St. Senans, of course, it's a community of Shanna Golden Fines and also Robertstown. That's the 3 elements of St. Senans that make up their team. St. Senans, a little bit of tactics maybe. They're up for this anyhow.
Yeah, they're definitely up for it, Mel. Making it their way to see Jason O'Mahony there running over to the dressing room to try and get them out into the field. It's a huge game for St. Senans. As you've already mentioned, they came up last year. They've been impressive so far, especially against Drumbroadford in round 3. James Naughton gave a display that day that he just ripped Drumbroadford to shreds at times. But I think he got 6 points from play in the end. He'll be key to their chances today as they come out into the field now.
They're well up for this, so too are St. Senans. St. Senans, of course, have to collect something this evening at Newcastle West if they are to cement a place in the knockout stages of the 2018 Limerick Senior Football Championship. The captain, Aidan O'Connor, is for Adare. The captain of St. Senans is their centre-half forward, James Naughton. James Naughton will be giving a sporting welcome here to Aidan O'Connor. We've given a mention to the Adare team. St. Senans have Cian Walsh in goal. The defence is James Bridgman, Dave Finnerty, Darren Lawler there. So too Dara Wolfe, Adam Kearns and Ger Hanlon. Maurice Fitzgerald and Stephen O'Connell at midfield. Ollie Wallace, James Naughton, Richard Hayes, Anthony Mulvihill, Sean McSweeney and Darren Kavanagh, the forwards on duty this evening for St. Senans. Newly promoted in terms of their intermediate championship success of last season. They have been senior a few times in the past as well. Indeed, contested a senior final at the Gaelic Grounds a short few years ago. The referee is Mike Sexton of Brewery. Not too far away now from the start of the game. John, call it for us.
That's a difficult one to call, Mel. St. Senans in such good form, but you'd have to edge towards it there. They're 100% record to date. Champions from last season, and they just have steamrolled everyone they've come across so far this season. So it's hard to look past it there. A few seconds away now from throwing.
Adare would appear to have a new midfield partnership involving Jack English certainly there, and alongside him at this point is James Hickey. St. Senans have brought Richard Hayes, their towering attacker, out towards midfield as well, likely to link up with Maurice Fitzgerald as the St. Senans goalkeeper. In no great hurry is Cian Walsh to take his place in goal at the domain end of the fine field that is Newcastle West, hosting this Limerick Senior Football Championship fixture involving Adare and St. Senans. Michael Sexton of Brewery will shortly get us underway here. Little bit of a breeze. That advantage will be for St. Senans in the opening 30 minutes of the game. St. Senans, the team with more on offer in terms of winning here. They need that to book their place in the quarter-final, if not even the semi-final of the championship. Adare have possession, the defending champions now, and Adam Kearns involved. They are centre-half back, nice ball fed through. Adare playing it down the right side of their attack and involving Hugh Burke. Hugh Burke now back, it comes all the way to the centre-half back, Owen Ryan. This is Owen Ryan still. Finding the new player that's available for Adare in James Hickey. Slow, cautious build up by Mikey Lyons. Lyons planting a lovely ball through towards the corner belonging to Dara Lane of Adare. Lane playing it back. Here's Charlie McCarthy for Adare, linking up with Jack English. Mikey Lyons. A lot of the positive play for Adare revolving around the chap wearing 15, namely Mikey Lyons. Owen Ryan. They'll be happy to be well in contention at half-time given the strength of the breeze that they're playing against in the first 30 minutes of this contest. Ball slipped as far as Paul Maher. Maher looking for an angle for a score. Maybe an option is a player coming through. Perhaps Hugh Burke. It's Hugh Burke that is available. Owen Ryan almost playing as a centre-half forward. The centre-half back. Michael Sexton has given the free in favour of Adare, won by Jack English.
Yeah, very patient build up there, Mal, from Adare. Held onto the ball well, as you mentioned, playing into a stiff breeze. Hugh Burke on the ball a lot, and of course Mikey Lyons, as you also mentioned, that's one of the playmakers they have. Chance now from, looks to be James Hickey taking the free, which is a bit of a surprise, maybe too far out for Hugh Burke.
Well, it's still within scoreable range, you would imagine. It's only 30 metres out from the goal. Here comes the strike from James Hickey, and he's dropped it kindly over the crossbar. Nice point by James Hickey, and it's the first score of the evening. The holders at Adare moving into that early advantage inside maybe 3 minutes of the first half. Senans looking maybe to get away with this one. Anthony Mulvihill is put under pressure. It works out okay for the Saints, who have a free. Cian Walsh, the goalkeeper for St. Senans. Here it's popped towards Dara Wolf. Dara Wolf gained ground there, maybe 30 metres or so. He has it back, wasn't quite expecting it. And Adare win it against the odds through Shane O'Connor. Adare still holding on to possession with Owen Ryan. Paul Maher, the player that's advancing through now. It's Maher. This is an encouraging passage of play for Adare, who've owned the ball in the very early stages of this championship fixture. In the end, it's with Shane O'Connor looking for an opening here. That wasn't a very intelligent ball play through, and St. Senans coming strongly on the counter-attack. Looking for their first point, driven through by Sean McSweeney. Didn't work out. Adare have stolen possession back, and Maher and company clear the ball as far as the available Charlie McCarthy. McCarthy finding Hugh Burke, who had a brilliant 2017 season as Adare swept through to win their first ever Limerick Senior Football Championship title, one of the jewel clubs in Limerick at this point, along with the likes of Napirsig. It's Adare and Mikey Lyons for them. Lyons available once again is Charlie McCarthy, having a good match early on. St. Senans claim possession, and it's with Dara Wolf, and now to James Bridgman. St. Senans have put in a lot of training this season under the management of Damien Fitzgibbon, Pat Shaughnessy, John Hanlon and Shane Kelly. Maurice Fitzgerald deep inside the St. Senans defence. Strong, powerful, athletic midfielder. Nice ball fed through. Good feeling as well by Sean McSweeney. Very late starter for his brother Seamus McSweeney. And this is Sean McSweeney looking for a way through. Referee Mike Sexton has allowed play to continue. It could have been a free in the 5th minute as things stand. It's Adare that lead by the only score of the day, a pointed free earlier by James Hickey. Paul Maher. Nice ball fed through as far as the centre half forward. That's Hugh Burke. Hugh Burke slipped outside towards Paul Maher. Now coming through Collins. Oren Collins. Adare are commanding in the field of play at this point in time, and an opportunity for Dara Lane. He too was looking for a free. Referee is having none of it. He's allowing play to continue, and St. Senans are trying to get away from a difficult situation, and they do so in the end with Darren Lawler. He'll be shortly appearing in Ireland's Fittest Family, along with a couple of his siblings, and indeed his mum is in it as well. St. Senans and Maurice Fitzgerald. Ball fed towards the right side of the St. Senans attack. They're playing reasonably well, but haven't been on the score sheet just yet. A big ball played through. St. Senans looking for the breaking ball to go their way. It doesn't quite work out for them. The toe went in, belonging to Dave Connolly. And Adare have possession back when Mikey Lyons is way back in the heart of his own defence. Aidan O'Connor was involved, so two once again, Owen Ryan. And Ryan is having a particularly very impressive showing in the early stages of this championship tie. Jack English, his delivery, finding Mark Connolly. Mark Connolly for Adare, who lead by 1 point in search of a second point, and St. Senans are up to it once again and sweeping it away as far as Maurice Fitzgerald to the West Limerick team. From the N69 Coastal Road from Limerick to Kerry. Darren Lawler has found his captain James Naughton, and Naughton getting these movement forward on Oran Collins, and that's a free. St. Senans, they're only a point down, they're playing okay.
Yeah, they are, Mel. They're with a lot of the ball, but you just see now in the last couple of minutes, especially St. Senans getting more of the possession. Ollie Wallace giving a long high ball in towards Sean McSweeney at the edge of the square. It's something they may have to do more of in the second half, but James Naughton really getting on the ball now for the first time there. Immediately Adare realising his threat, taking him down, freeing.
At this stage it is known that Adare are through to the semi-final of the Limerick Senior Football Championship. St. Senans have an opportunity to join them in the knockout phase, but must collect something really here to guarantee that. If results go their way elsewhere, they could also qualify, but realistically they need to collect something that's an offer here. Dave Lavin, former servant of Adare in both hurling and football, one of the mentors involved with Adare this season. This is the Irish Wire Products Limerick Senior Football Championship tie in the 8th minute of the first half. Injury concern on the Adare team would appear to be in relation to James Hickey, is it?
Yeah, it's James Hickey down. I'm not sure. He seems to be getting a bit of spray. I'm not sure how the incident occurred. He was wanted to chasing players coming back, trying to tackle James Naughton, but don't think it's too serious, but should be okay to continue.
Yeah, I would think so, really. Doesn't seem to be overly injured. The teams in this year's Senior Football Championship, as has been the case for the last few years, will compete for the Father Casey Memorial Cup, a fine trophy presented by the Father Casey's Club of Abbeyfield to the Limerick Football Board in recent years. Richard Hayes, wind assisted, but probably outside his range. This is Hayes, delivers it through the right direction, a testing ball inside for Adare, and the injured player a moment ago was under that dropping ball, and that was Charlie McCarthy. Fine piece of fielding. They're certainly trying to play the possession game, holding on to it. That's the key. On the run near side for them is Paul Maher. Here's Maher onto it, having received it from Owen Ryan. Jack English. Maher once again. Fine hand pass ball to Mikey Lyons. Lyons needs to get rid of this one fairly quickly and does so. They're not in an effort to go for a score, or not attempting to go for a score anyhow. Here's Oran Collins. Collins on a little bit of a run through against the St. Senans defence, gaining ground as well. Needs the support of Mark Connolly. In turn, Hugh Burke. Hugh Burke, one of the leading scorers last season for Adare, and indeed well on the score sheet as well in 2018. Coming through, captain Aidan O'Connor. Jack English. They're teasing out the St. Senans defence, and there was a very important interception there that St. Senans will enjoy. And Cian Walsh, in the end, the player that knocked it away, their goalkeeper. St. Senans are coming through, and Stephen O'Connell for them. Centre forward James Naughton involved. Naughton motoring his way through against the Adare defence. This another free and an opportunity maybe for Richard Hayes. Yeah, it's going to be Richard Hayes going to come out and take this one. This might be within his range. Still maybe 60 metres off from the goal. Hayes was coming out to take it. That didn't quite work out, and it's Stephen O'Connell that has possession for St. Senans. Had to get rid of that one very, very smartly, and did so in the end. Maurice Fitzgerald, Anthony Mulvihill now involved. Coming through, Adam Kearns, centre half back, linking up with James Naughton. Fitzgerald once more now for St. Senans. They've gone a long journey in this match without a score. And that's going to be a free for Adare.
Yeah, ponderous enough build up there from St. Senans. Richie Hayes was coming out to take the free, but they took it quickly. Didn't really work out. Low scoring game. Both teams kind of slow in attack so far. And St. Senans have the ball again now.
Well, they had it for a moment, and Adare have won it back, and that's Paul Maher that has set Mikey Lyons away. Mikey Lyons for Adare. Lovely ball through, and it's Hugh Burke. Adare leading by 1. Steps are afraid. Nothing being called by Mike Sexton. Nice ball to Shane O'Connor on the left wing, the full forward. It's O'Connor with a left-footed effort that's dropped away. That, I make it, is the first wide of this evening's match at Newcastle West. Cian Walsh plays it short as far as James Bridgman territory. Darren Lawler has made ground near side. Looking to get away from his marker is James Naughton. Not an easy thing to do when you're up against Oran Collins. St. Senans with possession, and Sean McSweeney. McSweeney's effort, that's a beautiful score. It's the equalising point. It's taken a while to arrive, but it has arrived for St. Senans, who have tied up proceedings in the 13th minute of the first half.
Yeah, lovely score there, Mel, from Sean McSweeney. James Naughton was trying to get free, as you said, from Oran Collins. Kind of afforded Sean McSweeney a bit more room. Drifted onto his right foot and stuck a lovely point over.
Brendan Carmody, one of the finest goalkeepers around, be it in Gaelic football or soccer, with whom he plays with Rathkeel in the Desmond League. Aidan O'Connor at the moment in possession for Adare, finding Mikey Lyons. Mikey Lyons is as professional a player as you'll meet any day of the week. Owen Ryan involves Charlie McCarthy, who in turn links up with Jack English for Adare. Clever ball as far as Hugh Burke, out ahead of his marker, namely Anthony Mulvihill that time. St. Senans got a touch to it, but it's available for Adare. And coming through for them is Mikey Lyons. Always excitement when Lyons gets onto the ball. Darrell Lane's ball way over to the far side. Shot is being blocked, and St. Senans have an opportunity to go on the counter-attack and do so with Stephen O'Connell. Here's James Naughton. St. Senans are looking for something positive here as the match is level at a point apiece. Very competitive fixture. Adare have won the breaking ball. It falls to James Hickey. David Connolly has plenty of time here to work this one out of his defence. Meanwhile, off camera, St. Senans have an injury concern in relation to their top scorer this season, Richard Hayes. Adare and Jack English coming through. The Makesiders from the beautiful village of Adare still with the ball, and Shane O'Connor planting it across the field. St. Senans have stolen it once again. For them it's Ger Hanlon. Now it's Maurice Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald, having received it from James Bridgman, has done enough to earn a free from the Brewery referee Mike Sexton. St. Senans playing with the breeze in the opening 30 minutes, will need to be ahead at half-time, one feels. Free player making ground once again is Lawler. Got a late call up to replace Dale Fitzgerald in the St. Senans defence, and is impressing. Ball thumped across the field of play, and St. Senans control it this time with Darren Kavanagh. Not a very good ball through, and Adare with Paul Maher coming away. Maher for Adare. Crowded out of it, but possession remains with his team. Shane O'Connor that time popped it back, and Adare have plenty of options here. A team well managed over the last couple of years by Harry Gleeson. Here's Charlie McCarthy. Jack English looking to open up the St. Senans defence. So too is Charlie McCarthy. McCarthy, will he go for a score now? He's within range, 35 metres out from the goal. Mikey Lyons for Adare. Has he managed to squeeze it in? He has. Nice point. Mikey Lyons as this opening half moves into its second quarter. Hickey wearing 20, Charlie McCarthy wearing 8, just to confirm that for Adare. May have been a slip up, but these things do happen. Anyhow, Adare are back in front, leading by that single point.
Yeah, Mikey Lyons has seen a lot of the ball so far, Mel. Finishing off an attack there has been a huge influence in everything Adare have done well so far. They'll be happy enough, even though it's only a point ahead. They've had a lot of the ball since Senans, as you've already mentioned. Very strong breeze behind their backs in this first half. Breaking play now with an Adare player down injured, but level enough game so far.
In terms of the score, as we move into the 17th minute of the opening half, the holders of the title, Adare, lead St. Senans by a solitary point, 2 points, playing 1 at this juncture of the game here at Newcastle West. Newcastle West has one of the finest venues in terms of the playing senior football championship ties. We have score updates.
Yeah, I just hit reading here, Mal, after 15 minutes of another game this round 1, or group 1, of the senior championship. Their relegation threatened in Piershick, leading Ballylanders 3 points to 2.
St. Senans have earned a free at midfield. That one going against James Hickey. The free won by St. Senans thanks to Anthony Mulvihill. Dan Lawler. He's not been marked very well, it would appear. Here's Dan Lawler. Lawler knocked through. He's looking for the return pass from Jerry Hanlon. He has it too. This is Lawler testing ball inside, and Adare are there to claim vital possession. Mikey Lyons to Aidan O'Connor. O'Connor slips it through to Owen Ryan. Owen Ryan in turn to Jack English. A lovely ball as far as Paul Maher. There's a good counter movement by the holders Adare and Paul Maher. Near side screaming for this Hugh Burke. It's not going to reach him. Instead, it's Jack English. The aforementioned Hugh Burke is now onto it. Burke for Adare up against Darren Lawler, getting the better of Lawler for once. Cheeky play, intelligent play, whatever. Here comes Hugh Burke, drawing it over towards Paul Maher. Hasn't worked out, and St. Senans right onto it. That's a free. Mike Sexton awarding it in favour of St. Senans. Dara Wolf and company looking for possession. In the end now, here's Ollie Wallace. St. Senans behind by 1, playing with that breeze. Under 12 minutes of normal time left in the first half, and Darren Lawler gaining a few extra yards here. Coming back is James Hickey. Goal side, very important. St. Senans now, and Anthony Mulvihill in turn to the captain, Naughton. Centre half forward, James Naughton, making some headway. Ball drops short, some 30 metres out from the goal for St. Senans, who hold on to possession. Ball through, works out okay for them. St. Senans looking to go level for the second time, and that's beautifully clipped over the crossbar. It's a second score for them, and both have come courtesy of Sean McSweeney.
Yeah, lovely score there, Mal, from St. Senans. Patient build-up. McSweeney involved a couple of times, then beat a couple of Adare defenders, slotted one over with his left foot. He's looked very dangerous when he's got the ball so far. Him linking up with James Naughton is key for St. Senans' chances.
And with the ball at the moment, Adare's Hugh Burke listed as centre half forward, playing a variety of roles here out around midfield and roaming through to that attack as well. Mark Connolly for Adare. Still it's Connolly, the free player. Inside is Mikey Lyons, so too is Hugh Burke. Hugh Burke now to Mikey Lyons. Lyons who chipped in with a fine point earlier. The advantage has been allowed. This one a very high ball, would appear to be on target, and that's a terrific score. Mikey Lyons, with the teams having been level on 2 occasions, has now edged Adare back in front. They are ahead by 3 points to 2.
Another fine score there from Mikey Lyons. Bit quicker attack from Adare, transition the ball quicker up the field. Hugh Burke, no surprise to see Hugh Burke and Jack English involved in the build-up, and then Mikey Lyons finishing it off with a fine score.
St. Senans and Stephen O'Connell. Now Morris Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald probing ball inside, under it. Richard Hayes. In the end, it's the goalkeeper Carmody that's there. Well, he's not too far off 7 foot. Adare now coming away from the heart of their own defence, holding on to a slender advantage. Hugh Burke holding on to the ball, finds James Hickey. Hickey knocks it through as far as his inside forward line, just a 2-person inside forward line, including Mark Connolly that time. He's beaten to it. Now Darren Lawler for St. Senans. Very athletic teenager. It's still Lawler. Lawler looking for support inside. In the end, it came with James Naughton. Naughton, midfielder Stephen O'Connell. Lawler once again. Morris Fitzgerald, nice intelligent ball through. In the end, linking up with Stephen O'Connell. O'Connell is going to have a pot himself. Dropping it in, is going left and cannot be kept alive. It's a wide for St. Senans. The wides have been relatively low, so too have the scores.
Yeah, a lack of shots. Both teams taking their times and getting shots away. Patient attacking, looking for that little opening. Well, we've had 1 wide from each team and only 5 points in 22 minutes of football. Quality hasn't been brilliant, but a lot of that down to good defensive play maybe.
They're anxious to preserve their unbeaten run. They've played 4-1-4 this season. Adare finding ball own Ryan. So it goes towards the territory of Mark Connolly. Connolly trying to get away from his marker. His marker is David Finnerty. Too many steps taken. St. Senans have this free in the 23rd minute of the first half of an Irish Wire Products Limerick Senior Football Championship match. This has been streamed for you on sportinglimerick.com. Anthony Mulvihill. Here's Morris Fitzgerald. Right now it's Adam Kearns for St. Senans, being pursued by Mikey Lyons. Ollie Wallace in turn with Fitzgerald once again. Richard Hayes is just the one player inside for St. Senans in this first half as they threaten to get the better of the available player Charlie McCarthy, but it's hard to beat McCarthy. Aidan O'Connor. Here's Ryan once again, and at the moment it's James Hickey. Challenge comes in from Adam Kearns. Adare are at halfway and Hugh Burke in possession. Suddenly 45 metres out from the goal, and Paul Maher looking to make inroads here against St. Senans, namely James Bridgman. Nice ball. In the end it's with Adare, and Jack English has fired it splendidly over the crossbar. Jack English joining Mikey Lyons and James Hickey on the score sheet for Adare, who now push 2 points in front.
Another fine score there from Adare. They were a bit quicker in their attack again with Paul Maher coming in off this right wing. They're on the go again here now with Hugh Burke.
Hugh Burke looking for an option. One of those is James Hickey. Will he think about a goal? No, in the end he wisely knocks it over the crossbar. Splendid point. Adare with a couple of rapid fire scores now, putting St. Senans under pressure here in terms of achieving a result that would confirm a place in the knockout stages of Championship 2018. It's 5 points for Adare, 2 points for St. Senans. Mike Sexton has stopped play. He's the match referee from Brewery, a hugely experienced official. When play does resume, it will be this free for St. Senans.
Yeah, Adare just stretching into a 3-point lead now, 5 minutes left in the half. They've been very comfortable on the ball. They haven't had to overextend themselves, showing their form from last year, and are obviously season. St. Senans with it all to do. They have a very strong breeze. They haven't used it enough. Once or twice they've given long ball into Richie Hayes inside in the one-man full forward line. They need to do that more in the remaining 5 minutes. Try and break something, get players around him. Because Adare now with a 3-point lead, having that breeze in the second half, will be very strong favourites.
The concern so is with the St. Senans management team, headed up by Damien Fitzgibbon, one of the great servants of the St. Senans club. Darren Lawler. They are, of course, St. Senans without their star players this year, namely Conor Milan, and in particular at the moment, given his current well-being on the scoring field of late, Ian Ryan. He's been ruled out for the entire season. Adare are coming forward and galloping away near side. The available player, Jack Fitzgerald. Jack Fitzgerald's through ball picked up by St. Senans. Anthony Mulvihill. In turn, it's David Finnerty. Lovely ball, finding one of his own who has plenty of time here to work it. And St. Senans perhaps should be playing it long. Ollie Wallace and co. Here's Maurice Fitzgerald. He's arrived at halfway. Lawler's near sideline. He's been an option so many times in this first half. Darren Lawler. Lawler still in possession for St. Senans. Needed the available player, who happens to be the captain, Nocton. Strong challenge, Maurice Fitzgerald. The referee allows play to continue, and here is Richard Hayes as far as the fringe of the square. Appeals for a penalty have been overlooked. The player that was under that dropping ball was Darren Kavanagh, and Adare, luckily enough, are getting it away as far as Hugh Burke. A moment of danger for Adare on that occasion. Suddenly Adare come towards midfield with their 3-point lead preserved. Free given. Could easily have been a goal scoring chance for the underdogs.
Yeah, Richard Hayes giving the ball in, and low enough accurate ball into Darren Kavanagh, the kind of ball he's been craving for in this first half. They're maybe lucky to get away with not conceding a penalty. They got away with it, moved the ball up now and back in possession around midfield.
Adare finding David Connolly. Well, that was the intention. Suddenly, Richard Hayes, who's been brought out from the full forward line, becoming more and more involved. Richard Hayes, 21-year-old. Broken away from him, but it's available for St. Senans. Hayes is looking for it, but going it alone, and why not if you can kick like that? Sean McSweeney, 3 points. He's having a smashing match here, as the resulting goal kick out was taken too quickly for the liking of the match referee.
Yeah, well picked up there by Sean McSweeney after a breakaway with Richard Hayes, who tried to find James Nocton, maybe looking for a goal late in this first half. McSweeney settled for the point, but he's got all 3 of St. Senans' points to date. They'll need him more on the ball.
A competitive outing here at Newcastle West. 2 points dividing the holders, Adare and St. Senans. Adare are already qualified for the semi-finals. St. Senans looking to join them in the knockout stages. Here come Adare, and that's Hugh Burke landing a terrific point. Hugh Burke, the centre-half forward, becoming the 4th scorer for Adare, along with Jack English, Mikey Lyons and James Hickey. The 3-point lead has been restored by Adare. They're in front by 6 points to 3.
Yeah, fine. Another fine score from Adare. They're getting their scores much easier, even against this strong breeze. Probably the better quality forwards with you, Burke. They have more options maybe than St. Senans so far. Burke shots his first point of the game. He's been opting to lay the ball off rather than shooting himself so far. Another fine score for Adare, and they're double lead now, double scores.
As we count down towards half-time, St. Senans looking to hold on to it. They have a free, and Richard Hayes is out smartly now to take this one. In terms of time, we're inside the final minute of the first half. A couple of minutes likely to be added as well in terms of the injuries that were shortened actual play in the first half at Newcastle West. St. Senans, having relied so heavily up front on Sean McSweeney with his 3 points, all from play, will now look for a second point to join him, a second person rather, to join him on the score sheet. Richard Hayes, the player that has been entrusted with this resulting free kick. Not ideal for a right-footed kicker. Richard Hayes, who started in the full forward line, now playing in his customary number 12 position, has stroked this one delightfully over the crossbar. Richard Hayes, 4 points for St. Senans, who have closed the gap to 2 points on Adare. It's a game very much on here at Newcastle West. First half is in stoppage time. It should be a very eventful second half. James Hickey, ball runs away from him, maybe towards Paul Maher. It didn't for long. St. Senans have it. And Richard Hayes needs to be careful here.
Yeah, he looks to have struck out at Paul Maher. They were tangling as Hayes got possession. He seemed to have swung out an arm. Be interested to see. Mike Sexton was in very quickly. I'll be interested to see the colour of the card, man.
Probably yellow, I would think. Richard Hayes, who has been in trouble with officialdom already this season, is talking to him too long. It's gone. He's gone. Richard Hayes, a straight red card. Probably questionable decision, but if you were to read the rule book, it was an instant dismissal.
Oh, he can have no arguments with that one, Mel. Fair enough, Paul Maher was holding on to them, but swung his arm back, elbow connected with the face of Paul Maher, left Mike Sexton with no real option. And
it leaves St. Senans with a mighty uphill battle now here at Newcastle West.
Absolutely. Richard Hayes was just coming more into the game as he brought out from full forward, instrumental in the last couple of scores. He's an inspirational player for St. Senans. He's had a good season. Things have just got harder for them, as you've said.
And even if St. Senans are to progress a stage further in this championship, they will be without Richard Hayes for the next outing. Adare and Paul Maher. 2 minutes of additional time have been played here at Newcastle West at the tail end of the first half. Adare holding on to it, and Jack English. Now here's Owen Collins, very athletic figure. Now onto it, Aidan O'Connor, whose father Pat was a star player with county championship winning team Gerald Griffins in times past. Here's a free for Adare, and if this one is to be knocked over, they'll be in front by 3 points at half time. Hugh Burke, the likely free taker for Adare. 1 point so far in the match. That came from open play. Looking to score now at the very death in terms of the first half of actual play at Newcastle West. There won't be much time to be added on after this piece of play. Hugh Burke, centre half forward for Adare, looking to collect his second point of the evening and give an Adare team a nice little bit of breathing space with the breeze to be behind them in the second half. He doesn't miss too many, does Hugh Burke. He doesn't miss on this occasion. It moves Adare on to 7 points. The referee Mike Sexton is about to look for the ball. Half time has arrived in Newcastle West. It's looking good for the defending champions to go unbeaten through the group stages.
Very much so, Mal. The red card towards the end of the first half has given them an even bigger lift to go with their 3 point lead. They've been relaxed on the ball. They've attacked when they've needed to attack. They haven't needed to get out of second gear so far. Senans will be devastated with the loss of Richie Hayes now. Playing into a strong breeze in the second half. Even looking at them going across the field, heads are down and many of them. They'll need a huge effort to keep in this game number one, and hopefully from their point of view keep in the championship.
It's sportinglimerick.com streaming live from Newcastle West. This final round fixturing Group 1 of the Irish Wire Products County Senior Football Championship of 2018. Half time has arrived. The defending champions Adare holding a lead over St. Senans of 3 points. The half-time scoreline is Adare 7 points, St. Senans 4 points. We'll be back in maybe 10 or 15 minutes for second half coverage on sportinglimerick.com of the second half.